dug any of the 5 sentences to create images.
Right. It's that word picture, right? Creating a picture with words. That's imagery. Nassim, would you tell us what irony is? I think that's a tricky one.
Alright. Literary device applies the distance between what is said and what is meant.
That's right. What you say is not what you mean. Sarcasm is a great example, right, of irony. When I say to Tim, nice sweatshirt. If I say it with that tone, it's another one of our lit terms, I don't really mean it, although I do. They're fine. They're awesome. I don't really think it's a break the leg. That's an idiom, but we didn't need to use that. Boys, you know what, Darren, I think maybe over there is where you're going to sit. Yeah, and I just think that maybe sit over there for a second. All right, Francie, would you tell us what personification is? We're going to need a few of these in a second.
A figure of speech in which the poet describes an abstraction as a thing or a non-human form as it is if it were a person.
That's right. So that either the author, the narrator, is either talking to something that's not alive, clouds go away, or it's giving that cloud human qualities. The cloud's crept in, right? Like it's alive. All right. So that's personification. Peyton, why don't you tell us what was it? Oh, enjambment. There's our new word, and then we're going to move on to applying these. What is enjambment? There was one new lit term that was poetic. Really had to do with Shakespeare as well.
The running over of a sentence or phrase from one poetic line to the next without terminal punctuation. The opposite of in stopped. William Carlos Williams between walls with one sentence broken into 10 chords of line.
All right, so when we read poetry, this is going to become very important in about a minute when we open up a poem, and really when we read Shakespeare's plays. Every line is not a sentence. You know, the first poem you probably learn is roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you. Those have end stops. Every line is a sentence. But in most poetry, the sentence runs into the next line, or in the case of that example, every line. That's enjambment. When you read it that way, when you read it as sentences, it makes so much more sense. So you have to remember to enjam, to read to where the poet wants you to stop. All right, that's going to matter. Could you guys all now take out your iPads? Open up the Schoology and open up the poetry folder. We're going to open up the poem together.
Oh.
I gotta have some deal.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, it's no, but it's helpful with Shakespeare. Yeah.
I mean, I know what I'm supposed to do. I didn't know there was a word.
Yeah. No. All right. I'm going to just use my So go to poetry, and we are all going to find the same poem, which is Introduction to Poetry. It's the name of the poem I want you to open.
Oh my goodness, I'm out here.
You said what? Huh?
Introduction to Poetry, Billy Collins.
I know Billy Collins. That's my dad.
This is Collins.
It's my dad.
It does. Just open it up.
Billy Collins.
And then what I'd like you to do is put that in Notability so you can take notes right
Hey,
on top of it.
Which one is it?
Introduction to Poetry.
There's a bunch of them.
No, look at all the fun we're going to have this one.
That might be stretching.
Introduction to poetry.
Yep.
We out here.
Oh my god. We out here.
There's like 20 billion.
I love them all, which is
Wait,
such a
was that
problem.
not a hyperbole?
It was hyperbole, Mrs. Wheeler.
All right. Introduction.
All right.
Not seeing it. Where's it at?
Oh, it's about 2/3 of the way down the list. Put it in Notability.
It's called what?
Introduction to Poetry. It seems like the appropriate poem to start with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Once you're all there, just look up in Notability.
How about y'all? Bro, no, cuz.
Hey. Wait, you put 15? Wait,
I added that.
Like they need 2K.
Peyton,
I don't know.
let me see your iPad. Let me see that iPad right now. Flip it over to me.
Hey.
Alright. Ready? Okay, let me read it to you, and then we're going to talk about what poetic terms we see in here. So, I like Billy Collins. He's contemporary. So here we go. I ask them to take a poem and hold it up to the light like a color slide, or press an ear against its hive. I say, drop a mouse into a poem and watch him probe his way out, or walk inside the poem's room and feel the walls for a light switch. I want them to water ski across the surface of a poem, waving at the author's name on the shore. But all they want to do is tie the poem to a chair with rope and torture a confession out of it. They begin beating it with a hose to find out what it really means.
With the O's.
So much there that's sitting on your desk, so many lit terms, but let's not start there. I want you to reread it to yourselves in your head. You got to read poems a couple times. Reread the whole poem, please. I'll give you a second. The first thing that you have to do with really, again, this goes back to Shakespeare as well, really anything you read, you have to figure out to whom the pronouns refer. So we have to now go back to grammar. What's a pronoun? You can't figure out this poem if you don't know what a pronoun is. There's no way to understand it. Sam, what's a pronoun?
A proper noun.
Good guess.
A name.
It's
So that
not.
describes
But I
it.
like it has to do with nouns. What's a pronoun? If you can't tell me the definition, maybe you can give me an example. Francie?
Like when they don't use their name.
That's right.
They say like they, she, or he.
That's right. It's the opposite. So it's okay. You know, again, this is how we work. We got to remember these things. So a pronoun is the words I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they, all those, you know, they or them. You don't use someone's name, you replace it with a pronoun. This poem intentionally doesn't use names, just pronouns. I ask them to take out the poem. They beat it with the hose. So before we can even figure out what this poem, how it uses imagery, how it uses allusions, we've got to figure out what it says. Who is I? Nasim, it should say Nasim asked them to take out a poem. Who's I?
Billy Collins.
Or the narrator.
Yeah.
So who would ask you to take out a poem? A
You.
teacher. The teacher. I asked them to take out a poem. This is a poem by a teacher, at least our fictional voice. Maybe it is Billy Collins, he is a teacher. But I is the teacher. So, love it? Oh my God, look at what's happening today. They're taking notes without being asked. Yes, that's why it's in Notability, right? I equals the teacher, or however you want that to be annotated. If you don't know what the pronoun refers to, you can't understand the poem.
That means they is the students.
Yes, Ben, it does. They beat it with a hose. The students. And we'll talk about what that all means. So for they, circle they, and then put a little arrow, students. I think that this fictional, this narrating teacher is a little different than some teachers. That's the beginning. You just have to figure out the basics first.